for who you came here for. Alright, this next comic, you probably know him. He's been all over the country. He's been at SF Sketchfest. He's been at New York Comedy Festival. He's going to make his debut at Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year. Everyone, please start clapping for Patrick Hastie.
Hey, keep that shit going, everybody. This is great. Perfect. I'm so excited to be here. This is great. You guys look great. It's a great room. You guys get the pandemic up here? Did that hit? No, yeah, right? Did it hit up here? Oh, rough. We got it in New York too. It was crazy. Did you clap if you got COVID? If you had COVID-19? Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Clap if you had COVID more than 3 times. You'd be surprised how many claps I hear, brother. You know? Right now we just have liars. That's what's going on. You know? So no, clap if you never got COVID-19. Yeah. Don't you kind of feel powerful, right? You're like, I don't know, maybe I'm the one. Maybe I should send some of this spit to Facci, see what he can do with it, you know? My tongue, my blood, who knows? I'll put it all in an envelope, mail it to Facci, you know? Because that's what I did. I went so long. No, I did, yeah, I put it all. By the way, I'm putting that out right now. I want to open my set with this. If any of you need any of my cum, blood, or piss, let me know, and I'll put it in an envelope, and I'll send it to you, okay? Not for gross reasons. But if you guys need it for like a real good reason, let me know and right there, U.S. postage. I went a long time without getting it. It was crazy. I tested positive this morning and I feel okay so far, you know? I feel good right now. No, how crazy would that be? Like, well, I gotta work on the album. No, I did go a long time though. I went from March 2020 all the way to August 2022, which was a while to go without catching it. And I had that feeling. I was like, this is very good stuff, you know? And then I got it. And here's the thing, though. That feels like a long time, right? I went a long time without catching COVID. But the kicker is, I did have pink eye 11 times in that period. That's so many times. I go to my doctor, and he's like, buddy, you know how you get pink eye, right? And I'm like, yeah, I've had it 11 times! I can't stop putting shit in my eyes, dog! I'm from Iowa. Anybody else? Clap it up. Fuck, god damn it. Man, it'd be so cool if you were from, like, Marshalltown right now. Like, if you were just like, oh my god, we just kick everybody else out and talk about hogs for the next hour, and that's the album, and it's great, you know? Texas. Oh, God's country, I love it. What part of Texas?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. Oh, cool. Yeah, right there, Dallas area. Huh? Sure. I love it. Any other Midwesterners other than here? Clap if you're from somewhere else. Where are you from, bud?
Ohio.
Ohio, yeah. I love it. It's a lot like Iowa.
Yeah.
A lot of I's, a lot of O's, yeah. Bad politics and bullshit. Love it. I love it. God's country. It's so good. Yeah. What about you guys? You guys from here?
Yeah.
Born and raised? Cool.
No.
No, where are you from?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, God's country. You can say God's country if I That's why I'm asking. I don't give a fuck about where you guys are from. But if you meet somebody and you're like, where are you from? And they tell you, you can be like, oh, God's country. And they're going to be like, yeah, I guess, fucking. I guess, yeah, Topeka is God's country. I never thought of that. I know. But don't do it to people from New Jersey, though, okay? Right? You meet somebody from Newark and you're like, ooh, where are you from? They're like, Newark. And you're like, ooh, God's country. And they're like, you fucking with me, man? Then you just got to get your ass kicked by somebody from New Jersey. Woo! Again! It's fun. I like growing up in Iowa. It was fun. I grew up on a farm. Any farmers in here? Clap. I want to hear a farmer. No farmer. What are they putting on these goddamn ads that we're putting out for my show? I'm trying to do hours about farm shit. You motherfuckers don't want to hear it. I'm not that mad.
I'll listen.
And I'm still going to do the farm stuff, so it doesn't really matter. I did grow up on a farm, but you can tell, brother, right here. Look at me. I'm a weak grown man, you know? I was a super weak little baby boy on the farm, right? I shouldn't have been there, dude. I should have been in a city, you know? Like in a place where you like grab a slice of pizza, get hit by a taxi cab. That's my scheme. Because on the farm it wasn't good. I wasn't good. My dad's good on a farm, you know? My dad, his name is Carl. Right? With a K. So you know he's not fucking, none of that C bullshit, okay? He's got a capital K right there. My dad, he's a man. He came to me one day when I was a kid. He's like, hey, Patrick, we're heading out to the barn. And I was like, hell yeah, that is my favorite place to play. What are we doing? And he's like, we're going to slaughter one of the cows. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Those are the only ones that understand me around here. I've been naming them all. But then he does, he brings me out of the stall, he brings Molly into the stall, and then he just kills her right in front of my little boy face. And shit, I didn't handle it well, you know? Brother, you look good. You would have handled it well, you know what I mean? You look like you would have taken the gun from Carl, finished her off yourself, finish your cigarette, and go to your job at the factory. But not me. I did not handle it well. Immediately my face got hot, my eyes got glassy, you know? And like, you don't have to grow up on a farm to know you don't cry in the barn, right? Like, that's against the rules, you know? You don't cry in the barn in front of Carl with a K. No way. You do that shit, they make you move to Omaha. Do you know what I'm saying, guys? And so I was like, oh, what do I do? Because I was like, I can't cry in the barn. And then my dumb little boy brain kicked in. And this is what I did. What I did was I just quickly splashed a bunch of the dead cow's blood in my face to cover up the tears. Don't do that. That is what we call a backfire, you know? Because that makes it go from looking like, maybe you're a wuss to, shit, you're a serial killer, aren't you? Shoot, get in the house, buddy, you like it too much! You like it too much! It is a fun way to get out of chores for a few weeks, so I'll tell you that. Also a fun way to see a child therapist for most of the 90s. Pretty good dude, got me through a bunch. What's your name? Can I ask you that? Hannah, I love it. That's cool. You got an H at both ends?
Yes.
Is it a palindrome?
Yes.
Hannah, right?
Yeah.
It's like race car, right?
Yeah.
I'm fucking teaching lessons up here tonight. This is great. Do you know why your name's Hannah?
My mom just always wanted to name her first girl Hannah.
Okay. So if you would have been the second, fuck it. It doesn't matter.
Pretty much.
Cool. Okay. My name's Patrick. I didn't know where I got my name from, you know? So I was talking to my parents, and turns out I was named after my mom's doctor, the guy that was supposed to pull me out of her vagina. That's how it goes. Sorry, spoiler alert. My mom's doctor, his name was Dr. Patrick, and my mom's like, well, we'll just call the kid that. Who cares, you know? But then what happened was I was born a week early. Dr. Patrick had the night off or something, and so some other doctor just pulled me out of my mom, and my dad in the moment, he was like, well, we should name him after this guy, you know, and my mom's like, no one's gonna care, let's just move on. And I think I got screwed in that situation, because I found out the doctor who actually pulled me out, his name was Rusty, and that's a good name, right? Think about it, Rusty Hastie, that's a guy you do cocaine with, okay? Yeah. It doesn't even matter if you do cocaine. You'd be like, no thanks, I don't ever touch this stuff. And then they're like, wait, what's your name? Oh, Rusty Hastie? Yeah, get that booger sugar out. Let's do it, come on. You know, it'd be, I love it. Because Patrick Hastie, whatever, you know. I gotta do stand-up and, you know, I have, you know, a family and stuff. But like Rusty Hastie, that motherfucker'd have a dirt bike, you know? That would rule, you know? And he would just run around the country like doing good deeds for people and, you know, drinking beers, you know? Solving mysteries and flipping off cops and shit. It's a life I could have had. It's a life I could have had. I did love growing up though, it was fun. Growing up though was weird. I'm in my mid-30s now, so I was in high school when this thing happened called 9/11. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
We're going there, and by the way, we're going there for the next 45 minutes, because this is now my one-man show about how it fucked me up. No, it's not, but it could be, and it kind of is, anyway. I was in high school when it happened, and here's the deal. I was in first period, and it was a science class, okay? So we were all watching a documentary, and the lights were off, they had that big TV, you know, on the stand thing in the room, and we're all just kind of watching the thing, and like halfway through class, the door busted open, this English teacher from across the hall busted in and goes, oh my God, somebody bombed the World Trade Center. And our science teacher goes, yeah, that happened like 10 years ago, and then just shut the door. And then we just went back to watching the documentary for the next half hour, you know? It was crazy, you know? Because for all that time, we just didn't know, you know? We were like, it was like us and those kids Bush was reading the book to. We were the only ones that hadn't found out. And then we go in the hall between first and second period, and we find out what happened, and it's terrible. We get to second period, and we're watching it on television, and it's, you know, I don't have to explain, it's bad, it was a bad day. And we were watching with our teacher, our study hall teacher, who was from the South. He had like a Southern twang with everything he said. So we're sitting in class, and we're watching it on the screen, and the part where the first tower crumbles, right, which is, what a scene. Our teacher, who's just a guy in his late 20s, you know, just instinctively reacted the way he would as a Southern guy and goes, woo doggy, a lot of people just died. And we all fucking laughed. We didn't want to, but we did. And nuts, you know, to have that sense of memory, because, you know, like every year they talk about it, it's on the documentary. I live in New York, motherfucker. I see that stuff all the time, you know, and every time I do, I'm like, oh my God, what a tragedy. But then part of me is like, pew, 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 yippee-ki-yay, you know, not worth it. Cutting that one off the album. Nah, it's gonna go on. I did like living there. Do you guys remember? This is also about 9/11. Do you guys remember 1980 or so when David Copperfield, you remember this? He made the Statue of Liberty disappear. Yeah. You remember this? Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's on television, a big event. David Copperfield just made the Statue of Liberty disappear. It's crazy, right? It's in like 80s. Can you imagine if he did it on September 10th, 2001? Like, you know, we're all sitting at home watching that on TV September 10th. The next day we're in that study hall watching it. We're like, David, is this you? Come out of here, you know? Not worth it. I love you guys. We had growing up on the farm was wild. We had the animals, but we also had other stuff. We had pets. You guys have pets growing up?
Yeah.
What'd you have? Let me know.
2 cats.
2 cats, meow meow. Yeah, I love it. Anybody else?
Dogs.
Woof woofs. Yep. What else we got? Raccoons. I know all the sounds. Right? I do. I know them all. Great film. A llama. They don't know, but that's, you know, that's right. We had pets. It was weird. I had 7 iguanas. Yeah, which is a lot. But I'm not crazy. I didn't have 7 iguanas like at one time in like one box, you know, just trying to be the best. You know, no, I had 7 iguanas back to back to back to back to back over the course of 4 years. Because those fuckers kept dying, you know? Yeah, on my watch, too. Yeah, it sucked. I'm not proud of this. One of them, I just forgot to feed it, you know? I was like, that's what the crickets were for! I was naming the crickets! And what happened was when I first brought the first one home, my dad, Carl, from earlier, he looks at it and he goes, oh, that fucker sucks. As soon as he's dead, no more lizards in this house. But my mom knew I liked having the lizards, right? So every time one would die, she'd just swap in a new one, you know? And Carl had no idea, you know? And one time he was like, hey, isn't he a whole lot smaller than he was yesterday? And I'm like, get out of here, Dad! The growing boy! But then what happened was the 6th one died, or the 7th one died, and my mom wasn't home to like do the trick, you know? And so it was just on me, and my dad was really sweet about it at the time, you know? He's like, oh, what a long life. And I was like, hey, she's been here 2 days, Dad. You don't know that. And then it was on me to figure out what do you do when a lizard dies. Because when some pets die, we all know what to do, right? Like everybody in the room together, what do you do when a fish dies? Everyone. Flush it down the toilet. That's right, you got it, yeah. When a dog dies, everybody, what do you do? Flush it down the toilet. Ah, no way. No way, you do that and fuck up the septic tank. Carl would kick your ass if you do that. No, what happens is obviously when a dog dies, what you do is you eat it, right? You eat it, it makes you a strong growing boy. We're gonna get out of Iowa, Patrick! We're gonna get to a town with a hot topic one day, you know? Obviously, when a dog dies, what you do on the farm is you throw it on a pile with all the other dead dogs. But when a lizard dies, you don't know what to do. There's no book. And so what I did is I had to start looking for an iguana coffin, right? Like a lizard casket, and fuck, I found one right away. It was great. Picture this, everybody. Reynolds wrap box. Right? Perfect, right? The blue box. Yeah, exactly. You open it up, you throw the tinfoil out, you put the dead lizard in the box, close the box, and then you put it back in the drawer, and eventually your mom will find it and do whatever the hell she did with the first 6 dead iguanas. Who knows, right? Mail them somewhere? I don't know. Throw files on the other dead iguanas. Who knows? It was fun. Grown-up was alright, but man, like I said, I respect farmers, obviously, but it was just not for me. I didn't want to do that life, but I had to for so long, you know? And so when I was like 12 years old, right? And like, it was crazy. I was on the fields all the time, and I shouldn't have been, you know? And I'm like doing all this weird man's work, and I'm barely a boy, you know? I'm like, don't you know about Nintendo 64? That's where I'm supposed to be, Dad. And this was at a time where, do you guys remember this stuff called rap metal? Do you guys remember that? Like new metal, right? Like Limp Bizkit and stuff? Yeah. That shit was all over the radio charts, and it was also all over us farm boys' hearts, okay? Like, it was just firing us up, you know? It was like, because Fred Durst, he was like doing it all for the nookie, and then I'm in the fields like, yeah, we are doing it all for the nookie, you know? And so, And so I just had this goddamn rap metal in my head all the time, you know? And it was making me crazy, it was making me angry, you know? And one day, I'm helping my dad on the farm. It was like a pivotal moment in my life. I was helping my dad. We had a tractor. I was driving the tractor, okay? And I'm up on top of it. My dad, he's hanging off the side of the tractor, kind of, and he's like directing me what to do. I should do with the tractor. And he's telling me, get closer to the barn. But I'm driving, and from where I'm at, I can tell there's not enough room for me to get closer to the barn, so I can't do that. So I'm like, I can't get any closer to the barn. And he's like, get closer to the barn. And I'm up there, and I'm like, I can't get any closer to the barn. And he's like, get closer to the barn. And I just got that rap metal in my head making me crazy, you know? And I'm like, I'm one step closer to the edge, motherfucker. And then I just saw red. And I snapped, and I just, boom, and I crashed the tractor into the side of the barn. Just, right? And it throws my dad off the side. He's laying in the weeds. And then I just have it. All my power, all of everything is coming to me in this moment. And I stand up on the side of the tractor, and I just start screaming at my dad. And it's like, I've never let it out like this before. I'm like, fuck you, man! You suck! This is for Molly! You know, and I'm like going off on him, you know? I'm doing like, I don't even know how to cuss yet, so I'm thinking things that don't make sense, you know? I'm like, shit is pussy, dickhead! You know? And I'm just going off on him, right? And I feel so good. I'm like, it was like a bar mitzvah for me, you know? And I was like, oh, I'm a man now, you know? But here's the thing. When a boy of 12 crashes a vehicle into the side of a building, things happen to his body. And by that, I mean, I just started pissing my pants. Yeah. And it was a super hot day out on the farm, so I was just wearing like basketball shorts that are real thick. That's not gonna keep all the piss in, you know? So I'm standing up there screaming at my father like, fuck you, man! And I'm also just kind of peeing all over my father, you know? I'm like, you suck, jerk! Piss, piss, piss! What a butthole! Piss, piss, piss! You know? A lot of piss got on Carl that day, that's what I'm thinking, you know?
A lot of piss.
And it's crazy because it's this, well, first off, I gotta say this, hold on. Every once in a while I hear people talk about having daddy issues. If that's true, I know a pretty good way to get rid of them. Yeah, you piss on him from upon high at a young age. Yeah, like that'll solve most of it. Cause like, my dad and I got a great relationship, and you all know who the fuck he votes for, right? Like, we're good. But every time I go back home, someone's gonna bring this story up, you know? Someone's gonna bring up the time that I crashed. You know, like it'll be my brother or something, everybody's sitting around and he's trying to like get my goat, you know? And it'll be like, look at Patrick over there. Look at Brooklyn over there, huh? Hey Patrick, do you remember that time that you crashed the tractor into the side of the barn? And then everybody fucking laughs, you know? But no one ever talks about what happened next, you know? No one ever brings up the second part of that story, so that's where I gotta come in. I gotta bring up the second part. So my brother would be like, remember that time you crashed the tractor into the side of the barn? And I gotta be like, you remember that time I pissed on Dad? I should have fucked Mom that day! This is my farm now! I shouldn't have. We all know that, right? Legally, I want to get that out there. You guys are great. I'm gonna tell you guys now something kind of personal. Is that okay with you guys? Yeah. Can I tell you guys about the first time I ever jacked off? Doggy, I was in middle school, okay? And all my buddies, they had been doing it, not in the same room. No, they were all doing it at their own houses, in their own bathrooms, and living rooms, and bedrooms. But they were telling me about it, and so I didn't want to do it. I was nervous. I was like, that's not for me, you know? But then what happened was this movie called Species came out. Do you guys remember this movie, Species? Anybody? Yeah. It was a 90s film. Yeah, it was about this blonde lady. I think her name was Species, and she was hot. Yeah, and there's a part in the movie where she's having sex with a fella, and in the middle of the sex, right where she comes, she goes, "Oh, Patrick!" And now that's my goddamn name, you know? And so immediately I was like, all right, Dick, let's figure this out. And I dropped my drawers and I did it and I was like, oh yeah! my thing now, you know? Because before that, my thing had been Taekwondo, you know? But now it's this, you know? It was great. And I loved, but I still didn't want to get in trouble. I still didn't want to get caught, you know? So I had to figure out what do you do, and I came up with a really good plan. So what I did was I just quickly splashed a bunch of dead cow's blood all over my face. What I did was I set an alarm for 3 a.m. every night, okay? And then I'd wake up, masturbate, come a bunch of jizz, and then I'd fall asleep about 3:01, you know? It did not take long. But it ruled. It was great. It was a fun couple months, you know, I loved it. And I was getting pretty good at it too. And then what happened was, I was in the middle school. Unbeknownst to me, the kids in our high school, they'd all moved on from masturbating. They'd all moved on to this thing. I don't know if you guys got this up here, but you guys know what crystal methamphetamine is? Right? You guys know what that? That's what it's like in Southwest Iowa. It's Taekwondo, jacking off, meth, Dave Matthews Band. And so that's the hierarchy. And so all the kids in the high school, some of them started doing meth, and the teachers were like, uh-oh, you know, this stinks. And so they sent a letter home to all the parents in the district being like, hey, some of the kids are doing meth. Here's some signs that your kid might be doing meth. And the top thing on that list was being up all hours of the night. Yeah. So the first time my mom woke up in the middle of the night and saw that my bedroom light was on, she just jumped to the conclusion that I was smoking crystal meth in my room. I wasn't, you know? No, I was masturbating, you know? She thought I was like, but I was just like, you know? But she just, Patrick! She just screams it from down the hall. And I'm in my room and I'm like, well, I guess that's a wrap on masturbating, huh? You know, because when you're doing it and Species says your name, pretty cool. But when you're doing it and your mom says your name, you're not as cool. And so she's like, Patrick, get out here! And so then I just quickly throw on pants and I run in the hall and I'm walking down our long hallway and I see her face and she's so disappointed in me, you know? I can see on her face how I've hurt her so much. And so I'm walking in the hall and she's just like, I know what you were doing in there. She didn't, we all got that, right? If anybody's confused, if you're confused at this point, throw up your hand, I'll explain it. She thought it was meth, it was actually just masturbation. But I thought she knew, okay? So she's like, I know what you were doing in there. How long have you been doing that? And I was like, for a while. And she's like, how often? And I was like, pretty often, honestly. Every night I set an alarm. And then she says, you got that shit in there right now? And I thought she was talking about the cum. So I said, yeah. And she goes, bring it to me! So I just went into my bedroom and grabbed all of my dirty shirts and socks. And I walk down the hall and walk down and drop them on the floor in front of her. And then I watch my mom figure out what I was doing in my bedroom. She just sizes it up and goes, gross. And then walks back into the bedroom where apparently she wakes up my dad. You guys remember Carl from that couch? She wakes up Carl, and I guess fills him in, because like a minute later, he comes out of the bedroom just laughing his dick off. Oh, piss on me, will you? Just laughing, and then he just closes it. He's just like, all right, buddy, you're gonna be doing your own laundry from now on. You're okay. That was the first time I ever jacked off, so very cool. It's fucked up. Now I'm gonna tell you guys about the fourth time I ever masturbated, okay? It was summer 2007! What if I went that far? Okay. You guys are great. Let's see what else. I'm married, that's cool, huh? Yeah. Woo! Thank you. You guys married? Clap if you're married. I love it. I love it. Because this is a real place where people get married, you know? I live in New York, I live in this place called Brooklyn, it's like illegal to get married there. Nobody does it, right? Like, I was doing a show in Brooklyn, there was a guy sitting right where you are, like a real old guy though, big white beard, looked like Santa Claus, you know? And I was like, I can do my married jokes with this guy. And I was like, sir, are you married? And he's like, lay off me, I'm finding myself! I still wanted to make him laugh though, so I was like, job jokes. Sir, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a DJ! And I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of Brooklyn. I gotta go somewhere like here where people are people, you know what I mean? But I am married, I love my wife, she's great. How long, can I ask you how long you guys have been married? 36 years. 36 years? Clap that! Did you have to get a ring when you did it?
Not initially, no.
Not initially, no. You got a baby, huh? Is that how it goes? That's how it goes sometimes, you know? Maybe she got a Nuva ring. I don't know. But, so you didn't get a ring?
No, I asked her to marry me on our first date.
No shit?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's all of us are thinking about now. I had to get a ring. I had no idea what the fuck to do, you know? Like, I didn't know anything about jewelry. I knew a little bit about puka shell necklaces because of Dave Matthews, remember, he was telling me? But I had to get a ring and I didn't know. But I was sitting at home one day and I was watching TV and I saw this commercial that was like, he went to Jared, right? And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm him, let's do it. So I did, I went to my mall and I found this store called Jared and I went in and immediately I saw rings everywhere and I was like, I did it. This is easy, you know? And I walk in and this guy walks up to me and he's like, well, what can I do for you? And I was like, well, Jared, and that's when I found out that's not him, okay? I didn't know. It's like when you go to Denny's and your waiter isn't Denny. So it's like that. But I didn't know, and I'm like, well, Jared, I'd like to get an engagement ring, but I don't want to spend more than $900, okay? Right? Yeah. Because it's 3 times your monthly income. And he goes, I've got just the right thing for you. And then he goes in the back room, and he comes out, and he's like, put out your hand. And I do, and then in it, he just drops this gorgeous diamond ring. It's beautiful. It's like reflecting all of the light in the room. I look close, I can see my grandfather's face in it, and he died in '91. I'm like, oh my God, Jared, I'll take it, you know? And I say, how much? And he looks me in my face and says, $5,000. And I was like, ooh. I don't know if you remember, I said I didn't want to spend more than $900. You know, because back in Iowa, $900, that's a car, you know? That's like a nice car, that's like a Toyota Tercel, you know? Made before '94, but it'll still get you where you're going, you know? $5,000, great. Hannah, me, you, tonight go to Southwest Iowa, $5,000, I give you 36 Toyota Tercels, you know? Low mileage, none of them, no Cobain died, but good vehicles, you know? So I told him, I was like, I was gonna spend $900, and he goes, oh, I really think you're gonna wanna go with this one, though. So I gave it back, and I did what the commercial said, you know? I went to Jared, and then I left Jared. I walked out of Jared, and then I stayed at my mall, though, and I walked in the hall, and I found this other store. Do you guys know about this place called Claire's? Have you ever heard of this? That is my speed, yeah. It was great. I ended up buying 11 engagement rings for my wife. I've been slowly giving them to her over the last 12 years. She hates it. It's great, you know? And they threw in a gift card, so after her wedding, she got her ears pierced. I was like, he went to Claire's. Put that in a goddamn commercial, you know? He went to Claire's. It can't all be cum jokes, okay, guys? Sometimes it's gonna be fun stuff about being married. So aggressive. I live in New York. Clap if you've been to New York. Thank you. Do you like it? Do you like New York?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, right? I like New York. I got one problem with New York. This is my only issue with New York. There are too many goddamn hot people walking around New York, right? Because all of the actors and models move there, right, you know? And like, we got a lot of uggos too. Because you gotta like keep the comedy open mics going and stuff. But like, because back growing up in Iowa, we had 7 hot people for the whole state. And then Ashton Kutcher moved to LA and boom, we're down to 6. And those numbers suck, you know? But I was walking down the street one day in New York and I saw a fella that was so hot, like he was so perfect, you know, that like, if he would just leave New York and go to my home in Southwest Iowa, he could take over, you know? He could be mayor like that. He could be God like that if he wanted to, you know? I'm not lying. This guy was so hot. If he could go to South, if he wanted to, he could fuck my mom. Yeah, he could if he want. If she was into it, and she'd be into it, okay? You know. And my dad, Carl, he would have nothing he could do. You know, he'd have no. All he could do is be jealous. You know, of my mom getting fucked in the corner. Like, come on, buddy. Fumbling with his belt. When's Carl's turn? You know? When's Carl's turn? But I do love it there, and I don't know, I love being married. It's fun. We do fun stuff. Sometimes we went. I'm sweating, by the way, for the audio listeners. Audio listeners, I'm sweating. Okay. I love living in New York, though. We do fun stuff. We do. We like to go to Broadway shows and stuff like that every once in a while, and it's cool. And like, yeah, I didn't know about Broadway when I was a kid. They didn't teach us it in Southwest Iowa. They didn't know what it do to us, you know, how we'd turn out, you know. Those people sing and dance? Not here, dude. But I love it. But and the fun thing about New York is if you go to those things, like the show is art, but also like the venues are art. They're like these beautiful old buildings and stuff. And they're really cool. And I went to a show at this theater called the Booth Theater. Okay. And I was like, what a cool spot. So when we leave, I'm Wikipediaing the Booth Theater. And I'm like, what's this all about? And I find out it's named after this guy who was the greatest actor of the 1800s. This guy named Edwin Booth, right? Fun thing, he was very famous. More famous than him, his brother, John Wilkes Booth, the guy who murdered our best president. Can you imagine how good at acting Edwin had to be? That his brother could kill the president, and they're still like, well, we're gonna name the theater after that, right? Also, keep in mind, we don't got no proof that this guy was a good actor. This was the 1800s. They didn't have videos or nothing. We're just taking their word for it. You know? Also, keep in mind, that guy's brother killed the president in a theater. That's pretty on the nose, you know? It's pretty fucking great. Like, that's like if all of a sudden we all found out that, like, Lee Harvey Oswald had a sister who did poetry named Joyce Harvey Oswald, you know? Like you're riding around, you're like, I guess I gotta go to the Joyce Harvey Oswald book depository one of these days. Got petered out. I'm living with you fucks. No, I'm having fun. I love being married. My wife's great, but I do still find other people attractive, you know? Like, remember that guy who was so hot I wrote a joke where he fucked both my parents? That happens. And sometimes I'll be walking down the street and I'll just see a lady and I'll be like, oh, that's the kind of shit I like looking at, you know? Not in a gross way or anything, though. I'm not gonna be like, hey, honey, that's the kind of shit I like looking at. No, I'm just gonna make a middle note of what the head and body look like, you know? I did get roped into a cat call, though, once, which is an awkward situation. If you've ever had this happen, I was walking down the street one day, and there was I guess a pretty lady walking ahead of us, and this dude just throws his arm around me and goes, hey lady, we want to fuck you! And I was like, what? No way! And that lady, we work in the same office building, so like, I ride the elevator sometimes with her, and one of these days I was just gonna be like, hey, I don't want to fuck you with that random guy, okay? And that's rude, so then I'm like, okay, I will fuck you with that random... No, I wouldn't fuck her. I got a landscape architect at home that I love, you know? It's crazy, though. And I'm stupid, too, so I get myself in trouble sometimes. Like, sometimes, like, I'll see somebody with my wife, and I'll be like, and she'll notice, and she'll be angry. But then sometimes, you know, Mad Men just has a character, and then she's pissed till that show gets off the air, you know? So both ways it goes. But I ride the subway train every day for work, and when you ride that, it's weird because when you do like a commuting, everyone you get on with is the same people every morning. There are people who live in your neighborhood that ride the same train to go to the same area, but you don't know these people, okay? They're like extras in a TV show you never wanted to watch in the first place, so right? Like it's like on my commute every morning there was like a dumb guy, ugly guy, and then there was a pretty girl. And so every morning I sit across from this pretty girl. I'm not gonna ever speak to her or anything like that, but I can like acknowledge in my head and go, oh, pretty girl's here. Oh, pretty girl's back. Oh, pretty girl got a haircut. Cool, you know. And I just sit there, you know, like a maniac. And then what happened was one day was the pretty girl's phone rang on the train, and she answered it and she goes, oh, yeah, this is Melissa. And then everything changed. Because I didn't know that was she went from being an extra to like, she's got a featured player now, you know? She's got lines in the script now, you know? And so then I would just sit across from her for months just being like, Melissa, good morning, Melissa. How's it going, Melissa? Melissa, this is Stacy. Maybe you guys will get along. No, Stacy would never go for that, you know? But I was just sitting there forever and you know, being like that. And then when winter came eventually, and we were all bundled up on the subways, so cold, and her stop was before my stop on the train. So one morning she goes to get off the train at her stop, and when she stands up, she dropped her glove on the bench, on the seat of the train. And at the end of the day, I'm just a sweet boy from Iowa, and I gotta be kind, save the day. So what I do is I jump up and I grab the glove and I run over to the door and I go, "Oh, Melissa!" And she like whips around and she's like, "Oh, thanks, someone." "Hey, how'd you know my name?" And then the doors of the subway close. And I just started being late to work every day. I don't find a new fucking train. Melissa. That was bad. That was weird. But that, I got the, whatever. I don't ever see that lady ever, Sometimes it gets weirder. One time, and I'm not like, I want to stress, I'm not a perv, okay? Right? When you do these jokes in a row, somebody's like, "That guy's a perv." But what you guys don't know is these happened like over like 3 months. So it's like totally... I used to work with this girl named Kelly, and she was exactly the kind of shit I like looking at, she was pretty and everything, body, face, all this stuff. And Kelly and I were Facebook friends, okay? And one time she went on this trip to Cancun, Mexico, right? And so she just posted like 100 photos on Facebook of her hanging out on the beach in Cancun, Mexico. And I was like, "Oh, hell, this is the kind of shit I like looking at. This rocks, So I'm going through her photos, and I'm like, "Good one, Kelly, good one, good one." And then I don't know how it happened, but I accidentally hearted one of the photos of her on the beach in a bikini. Yeah, that's fucked up. Because I don't know Kelly that well, I know her enough that when I added her on Facebook, she was like, "I think I work with that guy," but not enough to publicly like a photo of her tits, And I kind of freaked out, and I didn't know what to do, so I jacked off. And I didn't jack off. I splashed dead cow's blood all over the place. No, what I did was, I hearted all the other photos in that album. There was like 100, all of them I hearted, right? And then I changed my Facebook status to, "God, I miss Cancun. I can't wait to go back to Cancun." And it was perfect because like 20 minutes later, Kelly from work liked my status, and then she goes, "Oh my God, I was just there, it was beautiful." And I was like, "Yeah! We did it! I'm gonna be the weird guy at work this week!" But here's what happens, and you guys know this, that fucking terrible site, Facebook, shares everything with everybody, So my beautiful best friend, landscape architect wife is just sitting at work and sees that her dipshit husband has hearted 100 photos of just some woman in a bikini. And so then she went to my status and read it, and then commented in all caps like she was yelling. "You've never been to Cancun? Who the fuck is Kelly?" Pretty good. Oh, you guys are great. Give it up for yourselves real quick. I'm having a lot of fun. This is the part of my act where I gotta stop. I want to just talk about God for a minute, okay? What if that's real? What if I tell you both about how I come, also how I come for the Lord? I'm not gonna, but I do. It's fun. New York's fun. One thing that's cool out there is you get to see famous people sometimes. If anybody in here, let me know. Has anybody in here got a good celebrity sighting they've seen? Holler it out. What do you got?
Me? No.
What the fuck are you talking about? We rehearsed this for a half hour! Does anybody have a good celebrity sighting? You ever seen it? What do you got? Harrison, who? Anderson Cooper, okay.
I saw Janae Aiko.
Danny Glover, that's a good one. Anyone, what was back here?
David Copperfield.
I talked about him earlier, it bombed, remember? The album doesn't know that I did that. They're gonna be like, "I don't remember that. He must have been talking about the Dickens book."
Kathy Griffin.
Was she on stage?
No.
Because that doesn't count if you just see something.
No, she was in a parking structure.
Hey, asked and answered, bud. You got one?
Bill Clinton, and it was awkward.
Bill Clinton, yeah, it's always awkward with Bill. No one's ever been like, "Hey, how was that situation?" situation with Bill, it wasn't awkward, you know? That's good, that's okay. So I'll tell you guys mine now. It'd be fucked up if I didn't, right? It'd be fucked up if I just, who have you seen? Moving on. The third time I jacked off! I'll tell you guys about my favorite celebrity sighting was. I used to live in a neighborhood where a lot of movies and TV shows would get filmed. And one morning I woke up, my wife was already gone for the day, and so like I woke up and it was like no one else was home. I hadn't spoke to anybody yet. I hadn't used my vocal cords yet. I was having a weird morning. I was in my head. I was walking to the subway, and as I'm walking, I'm just thinking, I'm like, what happened with college? Why didn't that work out? You know, like I was trying to figure. And I turned the corner, and the first human being I locked eyes with that day was Robert De Niro.
Oh my God.
And that's a good one. You know? No offense, Kathy Griffin. But I wasn't ready! I wasn't prepared to see Robert. Hannah, if you had stopped me around the corner and been like, buddy, you're not gonna believe it. You're gonna see De Niro in a sec. I could have had some. I could have been like, I loved you in Fockers, it changed my life! You know? But I wasn't ready. So I turn the corner and I see him and we lock eyes and I just go, and then I just keep on walking and that's not it. I'm walking and I'm like, damn, shit like that, that's why college didn't work out. And then it came to me what I should have done, right? The thing, you know, and I was like, this is the move. So this is the movie. If any of you in here ever see Robert De Niro in real life, this is what you do, okay? When you see him, you lock eyes and you go, Danny DeVito, and then you just keep on, right? Because that's good, huh? You know? Because, like, I'll tell you, you're never going to forget the day that you saw Robert De Niro. But if you look him in his face and call him Danny DeVito to his fucking face, he's never gonna forget the day he saw you. And that's special, you know? You ever give an Oscar winner a complex? That's awesome. You know? He's on the phone with his buddies. He's like, got Pacino on the horn. He's like, hey, you gotta be honest. Am I getting shorter, fatter, and bald? What's happening? You guys are great. I'll tell you guys a little bit, see where we're at. Yeah, that's good. I'm crushing. Sorry I yelled at you all. Oh, that's funny. Yeah! Clap for me! I will fight all of you! I won't fight you guys. My wife and I don't have kids. That's the thing we don't have. We don't. We have nephews, stuff like that, nieces and stuff. And a thing people like to do is they like to make fun of, like a big popular thing today for people is to make fun of the names of the younger generations, right? You know, they're like, oh, look at Braxton. And Braxton's like, this is my life, shut up. You know? And I think it's great. I think it's totally fine to name kids whatever you want. Here's why, is because I have a niece whose name is Zorabelle. Okay? No. And you might be like, oh, what a fucked up name. But when I'm talking to my wife and I'm like, oh, you know, I was texting with Zorabelle the other day. My wife isn't like, ugh, is that Zorabelle from college or Zorabelle from work? We know, right? Would that have been funnier if I used my nephew Cedar's name? Because you guys fucking hated Zorabelle. Oh, fuck! We also have, we have a little nephew who's great. I'm stupid. I think I've pretty much shown you guys that all night long. And I just make my nephew's name is Jude, okay? And so when I hang out with him, at all times somebody goes, hey Jude, and every time I belt out, don't bring me down! And they're like, we're just trying to get him a Pop-Tart, dude. But I do, you know? Jude is absolutely hilarious. He's like 4. He one day walked in the room and like all just like very like cautious. He walks up to my brother-in-law and he's like, hey Dad, we don't put crackers in our butt. Right? Just like that. That's how he was like, and my brother-in-law's like, no, not at all. And he's like, yeah, okay. Like the way he wanted that to go was, hey Dad, we don't put crackers in our butt, right? And he's like, no Jude, we do put crackers in our butt. And he'd be like, thank God, because I got half a bag stack of goldfish up there, and I do not know what's next, you know? It's like, that's a great sentence, you know? He asked me, last time we were talking to him, he asked me, when did you move to New York City? And I told him in 2013. And he's like, oh, that was 5 years before I was born. And 4 years after Michael Jackson died. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is that how you mark time? It turns out what it is that at his school, their teachers play Michael Jackson for him all the fucking time. And so he loves Michael Jackson, you know? He told me, he's like, I love Michael Jackson. And I was like, yeah, he'd like you too, dude. But I can't get in. I'm not going to be the one that breaks all this stuff. So he's like, do you love Michael Jackson? And I was like, yeah, I do. You know, he's great. And then we just listened to a bunch of Michael Jackson together and it rocked, okay? So
Hell yeah.
separate the art from the artist, everybody. I'm not going to do that. That's going off the album. I can't be the guy with the pro Michael Jackson bit. I hate
Do it.
Okay, I think I'm gonna dismount now. I'm gonna ramp out. Oh, somebody goes, ugh. That's funny. Oh, how pissed would my wife be if I said that right before I come? Hey, honey, I'm gonna dismount. She'd be like, all right, get on out of here. No way that's going on the album. I talked a lot about him. I love my parents. They came to visit last year, and it was really cool. Beforehand, my dad, because he's like a conservative guy, and he's like, hey Patrick, when I come out to visit, are you gonna be all pissed if I want to go take a look at the Fox News building? And I was like, not at all, because you don't know where the fuck it is. You don't know where anything is, dude. I'm gonna bring you over to my buddy's Queer Socialist Collective in Bushwick and be like, hey Dad, it's right up that ladder. Tucker's up there, go talk to him. He's got pink hair, man. My dad, though, he's not a bad guy. He just wants to watch it. It's like he's a nihilist, basically, And I told him that too to his face. I said, Dad, you're a nihilist. And he's like, well, I've always been more of a Frasier guy. Not good enough for you fucks.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. That's the same guy that scoffed at Dismount. They actually came out, so when they were out there, my mom, it was really funny, we went to the subway, and we were waiting for our train, and my mom saw a giant rat, run across the tracks, And she's like, oh my God! And I was like, yeah, that's how it is out here. And she's like, well, we gotta do something. And I was like, what do you want to do? And she's like, we gotta tell somebody! And I was like, Mom, who do you want to tell? And she's like, I don't know, the manager? And I'm like, Mom, I think that rat might be the manager. It was so funny. And then we had a good time. We were walking around and I asked my dad, I was like, is there anything you really want to see when you're in New York? And he's like, I'd really love to see the Chrysler Building. And I was like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit about the Chrysler Building, But whatever, so we're walking around Manhattan one day and I see that ugly fucker sticking out of the roof. I'm like, hey Dad, check it out! And he's like, what? And I was like, oh, it's the Chrysler. And he's like, what the hell? And then he pulls out a photo on his phone of the Eiffel Tower. On it, he had typed Chrysler Building ? What a bummer for him, When we hang out, it's fun when we get together like that because there's things we both love playing guitar together. We play guitar, neither of us are good, neither of us can sing well, but that's the thing we do. Because when you do that, you don't have to talk about politics or how the world's ending, So we get together immediately, the guitars come out. And he does this really funny thing that I love where he likes to learn more modern songs on the guitar. He learns the chords, but he never listens to them. And when he plays them, he only plays them using an old country and western rhythm. So he'll be like, hey man, you know this one? And he'll start picking a song you kind of recognize a little bit, and he'll be like, I've been coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta get down because I want it all. And I'm like, that's not it. And he'll be like, do you know this one? Slowly walking down the hall, travel faster than a cannonball. Where were you while we were praising God? I'm like, that's not it, and that's not it, you know? Like, that's doable, you know? But then I thought it'd be funny to get in on it too, you know, to do the other way. So I was like, hey, Dad, you should check out this one. And I was like, some of those who are in forces are the same that burn crosses. And he's like, I don't like that song. I was like, yeah, I didn't think you would. And then I was like, what about this one, Pop? And I'm like, oh. Fuck. Added spot. Does anybody remember the lyrics to Wet Ass Pussy? How's it?
Get a bucket and a mop.
Wouldn't it be funny? Just my dad and me jamming. There's some hoes in this house. There's some, you know. Yeah. My mom's in the corner with like a lighter. And stuff. You guys are great. Give it up for yourselves one more time. Give it up for the Independent Comedy Club. That's where we're at. I like being honest in comedy. I'm gonna do 2 jokes, and then I'm gonna leave fucking ever. Nah, I'll be back. First joke. Here we go. Anybody got tattoos in here? Woo! Yeah? Right there. What do you got, bud?
Her.
What do you got?
Him.
Anybody over here got a tattoo? What do you got? What do you got? Can I ask?
A cicada.
A cicada. Oh wow, Jesus, that's hell of a cicada. Okay.
I got a biohazard symbol on my stomach.
Hell yeah, you do. You could have just hollered out, I got a tattoo, and we all would have been like biohazard on your stomach. Yeah. No shit. Cool. I do not like tattoos. I think they're really fucking stupid. I think they're dumb as hell. No, the reason I do those, remember I'm this weak boy. And I've always been a weak. And when I was 18, my best friend was like, hey man, let's go get tattoos. And I said no, because I was afraid that I would get something tattooed on me forever. And then maybe a few years later, the new Nazis would start and pick that same thing as their logo, you know? Like right now, if there was tanks rolling across Europe, and up on the side they got that big-ass cicada you got in your arm, you would be fucked. You know? Everywhere you go, people would be like, ah, what is that? And so I told him, I was like, no man, I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna get a tattoo. And then he made fun of me, and went and got a tattoo by himself. Can I tell you guys what tattoo my buddy got by himself?
What did he get?
He got a tattoo of the name of his favorite metal band.
Oh, fuck.
ISIS. God damn, you ever won an argument 12 years later? That rocks! God! It felt so good. I love you. You guys are great. Here, I want to tell you this is just for all of us in this room because I like to make connection. You know, I don't do punchlines like some of those hack comics out there. You know, I trauma dump. Okay, that's what I do. Trauma dump. I came here in 2019, right? Pre-pandemic, and I did a show on Friday night, and I had a bad flight, and everything sucked. And I was like, oh God. And then I came to the show, and the crowd was great. The show was so fun. But I just didn't have it in me, and I had a secret where I was going to record the next night's show, and that was going to be my first debut stand-up album, and I called them and canceled, and I was like, I don't want to record it, and then I didn't record, and then the world ended a few months later, right? The pandemic hit, and there was like a time where I was like, I guess I'm just probably never going to be able to do comedy again. So then when I decided, when the world came back, you know, we all found out it was a pandemic, basically. I'm just kidding. When I decided to come back, I decided I was going to come here, record my album here, so that I could kind of like finish that loop, and so thank you guys so much for being here. That's really, I know none of you came because you're my fans. Some of you are like, not for me, but still. I've been laughing. Hey, do you think Melania Trump was the first lady to ever fuck an orange guy? What do you guys think? I have to say orange guy because I can't say the R word on stage anymore. Do you guys think Michelle Obama was the first lady to fuck a black guy?
No.
Nancy Reagan. Everyone in this room is like, no, Nancy Reagan fucked a lot. So we're all friends now. We all like each other. We've all gone through this road of my bullshit life. All this is fake, by the way. I hope you guys know. I'm not from Iowa, you know. I'm not married. I've never even met my parents. No, we got on this journey. We all know each other. We all having fun. I want to tell you guys. Can I tell you guys something? Okay, my dad, Carl, you guys have all heard about him all night long. You know, he's great. He's got these fun stories. He's a weird guy. When I was a kid, I never liked telling people what my dad did for a living. I would tell them he was a butcher, okay? Yeah, which might make you think he works at, like, the grocery store and slices your ham. And that's not it. He actually worked at this place called the Slaughterhouse on this special room called the Kill Floor. And he just murdered cows all day long, okay? And now I knew about the one at home, but I didn't know that he was also doing that for pay, you know? And it was crazy, because he worked there for 17 years at this slaughterhouse, okay? And I got to thinking about that now that I'm older, as a grown-up, and I'm like, I wonder if that fucked him up at all, you know? So I called him and I was like, Dad, do you think working at the slaughterhouse like messed you up? And he's like, no, not really. And I was like, well, do you know how many cows like you killed while you were there? And he's like, oh yeah, of course. And he had numbers, like a retired baseball player. And I was like, okay, so what are your numbers? And he told me, and I want to open it up to the room. How many cows do you think my dad himself, I'm not talking about like his crew, I'm not talking about like my dad and his Jim and his Pam and his, you know, I'm talking about just my dad. How many cows do you think he killed?
6,000.
1,800.
Come on, guys.
500.
One at a time! What do you got? 30,000.
6,000.
6,000.
100,000.
100,000.
5,500.
5,500.
I think closer to 300,000.
Closer to 300,000, but not 300,000.
Oh, it's Iowa.
I'm gonna tell you guys. My dad, Carl with a K, himself, over 17 years, killed 13 million cows. And you would never know that, you know? Like, if you met him, you'd be like, that guy probably voted for Trump. But you would not be like, I bet that guy took out 13 million of one thing, you know? It was so shocking to me. I was like, did you ever even know there were that many cows that could be killed? You know, that's so much. Because like everybody in this room, like we all know about Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Like everyone, like we all heard about it? Woo! Yeah. Woo! Getty! He killed 19 people. Can you imagine what my dad's reputation in the cow community is? I fucking hate that guy. And so I like Googled it because I was trying to figure out how many cows there are currently on Earth, you know? And so I Googled it, and turns out currently on Earth, there's 1.5 billion cows, okay? And as soon as I saw that, all I could think was, be a whole lot less if Carl still had his knives. You know? By the way, I need to let you know I'm a vegetarian, okay? Yeah, I'm not bringing this down. If you got issues with this joke, think about what you had for lunch, okay? Because I ain't contributing, you know? And so then I forgave him for everything that ever happened when I was a kid, you know? I was like, well, you know, he missed some soccer games, but I bet it was the trauma that he doesn't know about. And I asked him, I was like, you don't think it fucked you up at all? And he's like, no, not at all, you know, because we kept it light. And I was like, what? And he's like, well, you know, you gotta have fun at your job, otherwise it turns into work. And I was like, whoa. You didn't work in an office, idiot. And I was like, what do you mean you like kept it light? And he's like, well, we tried to always have fun, the guys and I. And I was like, okay, like what? And he's like, well, you know, we give each other nicknames. And I said, okay, well, what was your nickname? And he said, Loco Carl. And I was like, okay. And he's like, it was kind of funny, the way we would find out what our nickname is. You'd walk into the kill floor one day, and it would be written up on the wall in cow's blood. And I was like, were you in a cow murder gang? Is that? And he's like, we did other stuff too. And I was like, okay, like what? And he's like, oh, you know, fun stuff. Take a cow's eye, put it in your mouth, spit it at a guy you don't like. And I was like, what? And I realized that's probably the first time he's ever actually said that to anybody. So he immediately tried to backtrack. He's like, I mean, we did that a couple times. And I was like, Dad, that's crazy. And he's like, well, you gotta have fun, you know? It's like they say, you know, you can't smell slaughterhouse without laughter, ho!